Now, as we mentioned earlier, during the course of this bulletin, President Bola Tinubu has called on state governors from his political party, the All Progressives Congress, to, in his words, wet the grass, which sounded like a marching order to them to increase their efforts towards addressing complaints from ordinary Nigerians at the grassroots. The president made the call during the party's 14th National Executive Committee meeting in Abuja on Thursday, where Minister of Humanitarian Affairs Nentawe Yilwada was elected the new national chairman of APC. A former member of APC's Presidential Campaign Public Affairs Committee, Cletus Obun, joins us now to discuss this development, the rebalancing of leadership positions in the party, and to set the agenda for the new chairman. Good afternoon, Mr. Obun. Many thanks for joining us here on Newsday.
Thanks for having me this afternoon.
Of course. Now, what immediate challenges do you think this new APC chairman may inherit from his predecessor?
Well, his predecessor was a conciliator, and he came in when there was relative peace and jubilation after the elections. And therefore, the tensions were not as high as they are now because the great expectations of winning election are waning and fading on account of disappointment on many fronts and from many members, especially the foundation members, those who came from the legacy parties of ACN, ABGA, CPC, and such other groups. Those tendencies in the party are presently groaning under the weight of negligence and, of course, contemptuous treatment at the different levels of the party, be it in the state or at the national level. Appointments are given sometimes disproportionately, sometimes completely negligent of it. You will imagine that those who toiled when there was no government to benefit from and therefore used their personal resources to keep the party at a different level from the wards to the local government to the states, either as state chairmen or as National Executive Committee members. I just came back from Akwa Ibom, Cross River, and Lagos. I discovered that most of my colleagues can barely make ends meet. And if people who are in a ruling party and who started a party and prided themselves as those founding a party that broke the jinx of opposition winning are in that condition, only God knows what is happening to the rest of the people. So to that extent, even those who have appointments are given appointments in such a grudging manner that it does not befit and can take care of those who are there. So when the president makes that statement, it was completely in tandem with what he has noticed has happened to his foot soldiers. I wonder if he still remembers the chairman that sat with him from Bodilon to Adzigjo and to Ikeja House and to Abuja in Lagos House to propagate and indeed put together what we have today as APC. I wonder if he still remembers them and can even call them to the same meeting. He has not done that. Even a presidential handshake has not been extended to them. And most of those people are looked upon and being mocked as those who worked with Asiwaju Bola Tinubu to form APC and are today left behind. So to that extent, I'm very sure he has now become conscious. And I know that because the pressure on the economy is going down, the pressure of national life is going down, he's calling on those who are the grassroots, that is the governors, to go back and look at those people, even those of them who are just coming into the party, should go back and look at those who are foundation members so that those who lay the golden egg should not be neglected. That is one aspect of the pressure that the national chairman, whose smear and demeanor upon his acceptance speech shows a man who is ready to hit the ground running and going to look for the lost sheep of APC that have been abandoned in the field after the battle, and who are supposed to be on the dining table but are sitting by the corner of the kitchen and only getting the aroma from that kitchen. Those people need to be compensated because, like I maintain, intra-party crisis is more dangerous than inter-party crisis. So it is in the interest of the party and the new chairman to get back and look at those issues, especially given that he himself is a beneficiary of the Balancing Act, in which the North Central had insisted that the chairmanship should come to them. And this president, being the kind of Democrat that he is, listened to them quietly and did that with the luck that even Alhaji Dr. Ganduje himself willingly surrendered his position on account of his health. And then now today, we are having a situation in which the North Central is having what is required from Plateau State. We also expect to see that in the different zones, as you see, for example, some zones don't have members in the National Working Committee within the subzones. For instance, you have Edo Delta, which is supposed to take one working committee position, Bayelsa Rivers to have one, the vice chairman, but Akwa Ibom and Cross River today have nobody in the working committee. That has to be looked into and that has to be urgently dealt with because especially as they adjusted the positions to accommodate the Northwest, we just lost the national chairmanship. They have replaced him with another position in the National Working Committee. We want to see Akwa Ibom Cross River given its position back. So also are the other balancing acts. And he needs people who have followed the party up to this point to be able to help him do that, formally and informally. In that way, watering the grass will be realizable and can come in before the electionary period of 2026 by December, when the congresses will commence from the ward to the chapter, to the local government, to the states, and to the zonal. By that extension that they have done to accommodate others, it should not be to the exclusion of the founding legacy members who have been waiting in great expectation for 24 months.
Indeed, Mr. Obun. I'd like to take you from the North Central perspective. His nomination is set to align with the party's zoning arrangement, as it were. So how significant is this to party unity, as it?
I have made a point in your program or in your sister program on this station to the effect in the last appearance that when Ganduje resigned, I made the postulation that Northwest and North Central are eminently qualified to occupy the position of chairmanship in tandem with our own positions because the president and vice presidential positions went to the North and the South in the general terms. At the zonal levels, almost every of the 3 zones in northern Nigeria has a position of significance. The North Central, for example, has the Secretary to Government of the Federation. The Northwest has the Deputy Senate President and the Speaker, the number 4 citizen in Nigeria, the Northwest. And the Northeast has the Vice President. So the 3 of them are equally balanced. But Vice Presidential position is higher than the other 3. And therefore, it is important that the position of chairmanship, which mandatorily must come from the North, by the party zoning arrangement for balancing, should come from either Northwest or North Central. So once it is now in the North Central, the balancing act is still effective. Even if it returns to the Northwest, it won't have spoiled anything. But like I said, the number 4 citizen, the Speaker of the House, is from Northwest. So Ganduje, in his normal way of being the peacemaker and the conciliator, has given room for us to balance it out in a manner that it will be peaceful. So it is very, very important that the North Central, which is very volatile, today in the North Central, our chairman, we have Niger State as APC, Kogi State as APC, Kwara State as APC, that is 3. We have Nasarawa State as APC, and Benue State. It's only Plateau that is not APC, and taking the chairmanship already speaks volume for itself and tells you that APC is really gradually, democratically, progressively going to advance into making the North Central the seat of APC. And that is good enough for the party. But like I said before, elsewhere, it is not the wish of APC not to have opposition. It is not in any way contemplated, because as progressives, we believe that the ointment with which the oil and the wheels of democracy and progressivism are built with is opposition, a viral opposition, not a disjointed, disorganized, and haphazard, nearly non-existent opposition as we have now. When we were in opposition, Nigerians knew that there was an opposition. We want to see a viral opposition that even if APCs, by the grace of God, decides to look back or to go to sleep, to rest on its oars, it will be reminded on a constant and daily basis that there is an alternative. That is the kind of opposition an Ashwaju wants. That is the kind of opposition the progressives in APC want. And that is the kind of situation and democracy that will thrive in the largest black nation on planet Earth.
All right. Well, how will the new chairman manage the competing interests of governors versus federal appointees?
Well, it has become a near tradition that when you have a balance of power, the old MPN model will come to play, in which you had then the capital was in Lagos. Lagos meant the senators, and then versus the states where they come from. But today, Senators know, most of them, luckily for us, were governors, and they knew that they never broached any idea that anybody will come from the national as minister or senator to come and do that. But if you now find a former governor sitting as senator, giving him double advantage, the governor himself will know that there's a balance of terror, a balance of power, and a balance of strength in which the axis of strength can swing either way. So if you have, for example, a Senator Omo Agege and the governor of Delta State comes up against an Omo Agege, or an Umoino comes up against a Senator Akpabio as Senate President, or you go to the Plateau, you have a Lalong, former Speaker, former governor, sitting as senator, the governor will definitely have to think twice for him to behave himself and know that negotiation and discussion and indeed consultation will be a better option and a better route to pass than to use the repressive overlord headmaster status to operate a state in its political operations. So for me, I think that our game is in the offing in which you are going to see democracy in action. And that will be that the governors and the senators, who most are former governors, will definitely have mutual respect, and on the table of negotiation and discussions, there will mutual respectability to bring about the greatest outcomes and bring the best leadership succession for every state and for every zone. And I would like to see in Nigeria zones coming together to deal so that the federal government have less to do in the states and in the zones. Because if governors and senators cooperate, the president will have less to do in terms of dousing tension and generation of tensions and aggravation of crisis or intra-party crisis. There will definitely be development, and more development.
Indeed, Mr. Obun. Now, we've seen a lot of posturing, political posturing towards the 2027 elections, and of course, we've also witnessed migrations from one party to another, not just to the APC, but to other parties as well. So how does this leadership change affect the party's preparation towards the 2027 elections, you think?
For APC, sitting as solid as the rock of Gibraltar, shaking APC will be a difficulty. What will be easy is for the opposition to realign itself, especially those who are exiting APC, because clearly we were almost getting overbloated. So offloading and sending some of them on loan to opposition is a good option in a season like this. And so also, those coming into APC will be good fresh air and great ideas coming back into the party. So the flow, in and outflow of players from both ends is very healthy for our democracy, and I see 2027 being intriguing, amazing, and indeed a parade of political superstars on the field of Africa's greatest and largest democracy.
All right. Well, what are the biggest threats to APC's electoral prospects that the new leadership must address?
Now, it is complacency. It is arrogance. It is taking for granted political blocs and political actors who have added value to this system and are being neglected. That is the biggest problem of APC will be APC, never the opposition. The method of selecting party officials from the wards to the states to the zones, the method and processes of producing candidates for elections, that is what will be the biggest opposition to APC, never the opposition. Therefore, this present national chairman, a professor, an engineer, a Nentewa, a child of God, will definitely have in his hand a ready-made architecture for producing the best intra-party democratic processes that was realized, because the quality of party officials is directly proportional to the quality of candidates and therefore the quality of governance and delivery. Therefore, it is important that from day one, he should put together an architecture, a process that will produce party officials that will be firm in producing the best candidates for the party so that results and manifesto will be realized and manifested during governance deliverance after elections. That is, for me, the biggest recipe. On other details, it is not for us to come on the national television and bring out our strategies and tactics on how we want to run the party to get the best result that we can. But on a general note, I make that recommendation that the quality of party executives that will emerge by December will determine the quality of candidates that will emerge by June of 2026 for the elections of 2027. And that, again, will also translate into the quality of governance, especially representation in the parliaments at the state level and at the national level, and the subnationals in terms of the provinces, which is the local government. It's very, very important that this is taken note of and that this should be deliberately, consciously pursued by the party chairman, and he surround himself with people, big people who fear institutions and generate institutions and ideas that will bring together and blend everybody, especially given that most people are coming into progressive politics for the first time. They will need to be quarantined. They will need to be taught a few lessons and put into a room and be taught and given the tutorial so that there will be an admixture of those who have been here and those who are just coming in. So we don't just throw everything out. It is not a responsible husband that throws away the old wife because he's marrying a new wife.
Okay.
Yeah, you've just expressed a lot of optimism there, and of course, in this regard. But do you think this leadership change, does it represent genuine structural reform within APC, realistically?
Let me tell you this. What you are seeing here is adjustment for the purpose of what is coming in front of us. The leadership change is not a fundamental distraction for us. On the contrary, it is a confirmation and consolidation of the APC. And that is why you saw that. Before now, for you to mount the idea that you want to produce a national chairman in APC, maybe some people didn't know. It was a major issue that could have disrupted the entire process. The entire country will now be concentrating on who accepted and who did not accept. But you can see that from the governors to the presidency, from the National Assembly to the state assemblies, everybody was in agreement about first the quality of the person. I heard some people somewhere insinuating that it was an imposition. Most of the people you are seeing in the political space today in APC have very little to gain from politics anymore. So whatever they accept is to the greater interest of the greater majority of people, even at a personal pain and a personal cost. They will prefer that the general good prevails. And that is what has transpired. So anybody thinking that APC will, that is why you're not hearing anybody crying. If you hear anybody coming out here now to tell you that the leadership was manipulated, was imposed, was whatever, that kind of person is on his way out of APC and is looking for an excuse to leave. Nobody in APC today will tell you that bringing the chairman, the present chairman, given his quality, given his pedigree. He left as minister. He left as a professor. He's reached the zenith of his career. There are no vacancies and there are no job seekers among professors in the world, at least to my knowledge. I don't know that professors are job seekers or in the job market. So a man like that has first of all, his integrity, has his own possibilities, and has everything his job cut out for him. So his integrity is going to be a selling point for us and a stabilizing rod for us in APC. So for us in APC, the best choice has been made and the best decision has been taken at the right time. Because if it comes close to elections, it will have disrupted and distracted us. But today is very good.
Great. Mr. Cletus Obun, thank you so much for your insightful analysis. We appreciate your time here on Newsday as always. Thank you.